I'd like to call the Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 City of Oldsmar City Council meeting to order. First items on the agenda is our invocation and pledge of allegiance, which will be led by our city attorney. Please rise.
Father in heaven, we ask for your special blessing this Christmas season, all those assembled here tonight. We especially pray for the well-being and health of people throughout the world who are suffering from conflict, illness, hunger, or other human tragedy. May all men and women who are less fortunate than we are be ever in our hearts during this season of joy and love. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. It's very nice, Tom. Thank you. I like that. You were super good. Next item on the agenda is the Citizens Open Forum, where anyone in the audience has the opportunity to come up and talk about anything for 5 minutes, except for any public hearing that we have. And we do have item 13 as a public hearing item on our agenda. Please just make sure you fully state your name and address, including city, state, zip code. And so I'm going to start this with our poet laureate, who was kind enough to come and give her, she had this poem prepared for tonight. I'm going to tell the story. And we had a much longer agenda, kind of, a lot of extra thank yous and stuff like that in there that, we typically do. I like it shorter. And so I asked her if she would save one of them and give it tonight, and she was so kind to do so. So, Amanda, take it away.
Thank you. Amanda, 135 East Lake Club Drive. The poem that I wrote for tonight is called The First Light of Christmas. The tradition begins on a cold December night. The tree dressed and ready for the first winter's light. Mother and daughter in matching sweaters beneath the Christmas tree. Tinsel strung and baubles hung for a Yuletide memory. Golden garlands line the pine alongside handmade snowflakes. Holiday aromas fill the air of Christmas cookies and custard cakes. No matter the custom, observance, or ceremony, each ritual represents the beacon of family. Look to the brightest of stars at the top of the bough. Under this light, we are all the spirit of Christmas now.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You did a great job tonight, too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so there's no challenge for today, because I do usually challenge our lovely city council to write their own poetry. But the last challenge of November to write a poem about your family traditions, that will be for next month. So
The January, so let's,
you have a whole year to work on them.
we got a whole year. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have anybody on this side of the room? Jerry. I could have said Jerry and Jerry, huh?
Good evening, council members, mayor. Jerry Ann Tozy, 509 Shore Drive East. And the reason I'm here is I would like to personally thank our city manager, Hal, for having the 1901 Curb Dash Oldsmobile come to the Community United Methodist Church of Oldsmar's 100th birthday celebration. So it really made an impact. When we came out of the church, there was the Curb Dash with Mike Barrow making sure nothing happened to it. And then right behind it was Leo and Karen Stutzman came from Brandon, and they had their 1953 Oldsmobile right next to it. So it was very nice. So we really appreciate that. And to give a little background, I know that you had a proclamation for the church, and that was very nice, and it was on display. But Ari Olds, who founded our town, thought it was real important to have a church. So I don't know if you all know that, but he allocated 2 lots and an unfinished bungalow for a church in town. And even after he left, Ariel's Farms Company is the one that had this deed, and the new company that took over had it in their safe to have the 2 lots and the unfinished bungalow there for the church. So at the time, there was only, say, less than 200 people here, many denominations, so the word community was in the name. It wasn't really, the most people here weren't all Methodists. It was the Methodist people that started building the church. So it was originally called Methodist Episcopal Unity Church. And the community was really, really important. So what was very interesting is being at the museum, sometimes you have people donate things. And one young man came in and gave us his grandmother's wedding album, pictures, report cards from Oldsmar Elementary School. So when I started looking, little Ethel Swanson that you see downstairs that had a savings account in which Ariel's gave her like $10. So back in the 20s, that was a lot of money. Well, anyway, I looked at her report card, and it was a Reverend Hiller as her 6th grade teacher. Well, I went down the chart of the ministers, and in 1926, Reverend Hiller was preaching at the church. Then you look a little ditto, he was also the principal of the school. So, you know, he was not only the minister, but, you know, he's a teacher, and then he was the principal. And there's one lady, there's really 2 members of the church that were principals at Oldsmar Elementary School. And everyone here, maybe some of you might have had him, was Jim Howie. But if you go back even further to the early 1900s, something has to be named after this lady. She went by Mrs. C.D. Tyree, but it was really Annie Tyree. But she came here in the early 20s with her husband. They didn't have any kids, and she was a teacher. She went on to be principal at Oldsmar Elementary School. And then a little bit of history, if you really think, women didn't have the right to vote until October of 1920. Well, you know, Oldsmar changed its name in 1927 to Tampa Shores. So they needed a new council, right? So who got the first woman council member was Annie Tyree. And they're two men that tied, so they had to flip a coin for their seat. But she was there. But anyway, the church is a part of the community, and we really appreciate what you did to help us celebrate it. I was just giving you a little bit of background.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Gary.
Thanks. Anyone else on this side of the room? Jerry, the other Jerry.
Thank you, Mayor. Jerry Custin, Upper Camp Bay Chamber of Commerce, 101 State Street West. You know, now we're not going to talk about the history, we're talking about the future.
There you go.
And in the future, I'm working with the city clerk, and we have a citizens open forum coming up. Of course, next year we have seat 3 of the council vacant. So on Tuesday, January 14th, right here, we're going to have a citizens open forum. That'll be monitored by the League of Women Voters. They've already signed up. And we have at least two of the candidates running tonight, Chris Bohr and Andrew Knapp. Is Kelly here? I don't see Kelly, but anyhow, so we'll be you'll be seeing more of that. I just wanted to get that out now, so we got it. And if people want to see leadership in this city, they need to come out to that forum and give these guys no pity.
Jerry, are we going? Thank you, Jerry. Are we going to be asking them select questions on details of the charter?
Yeah, so we're going to. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just kidding. I was just kidding.
Yeah, we will take questions from the audience, but what we do is we take them written.
Yeah. Probably a good idea.
It's easier that way.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
We will take questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Anybody else on this side of the room? Seeing down, I'm going to go to this side of the room. Anybody on this side of the room have anything for public order? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the citizens open forum. Next item on the agenda is the community minute, which will be announced by our city clerk, Ann Nixon.
All right, so we have Sunset Sounds Music Series, Friday, December 13th, starts at 6:30, ends at 9 at Ariel's Park. featuring country music of Cottondale Swamp. Sounds pretty, good. So Cottondale Swamp, don't miss this.
Pretty lively.
Yeah, free admission. And Santa's mailbox is open now, so throw in a letter to Santa and drop them off from now through Wednesday, December 18th, and make sure you have a return address because Santa likes to write back. And then tree recycling. So if you're one to use a live Christmas tree, you can recycle them at Ari Olds Park, December 26th to January 20th. Make sure you remove the lights, tinsel, ornaments, and hooks. The trees are recycled and used as mulch by the city. That's all I have.
Thank you. Boy, you really abbreviated the list you guys got.
Only the favorites.
Must be Christmas shopping tonight or something, I don't know. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of addition of new agenda items, and guess what? We don't have any new agenda items, so props to the staff on that. I like that. All right, next section, awards and recognition, item number 1, presentation of Council Manager Award for December 2019, and that will be presented by Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Give him a round of applause. It's just too quiet. It's just awkward. That ho, 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 I don't know, I'm suspect of you a little bit. Man.
We have to save that for later.
Yes.
Okay, before I get started, I want to give a little introduction. The reason why the city council, the mayor, and the city manager give this award. It's really important that we understand that this award is for an individual or a group that is outstanding in our community. They're doing special events. They're making things happen in our community. And this award, I feel, is one of the most important awards as a city council member that I am allowed to give. In this month's winner, or this quarter's winner, is Chip Potts. And before I go, Chip Potts, there you go. I usually don't like to read a long story, but there's a lot to cover here, and I want to cover it. Chip's journey to Oldsmar as the leisure service director began a long, long time ago. At 16 years old, part-time recreation leader in Baltimore County, Maryland. While working there in his teens, he developed a passion for recreational programming and decided to pursue a degree in sports management at, I'm going to say this right, Towson. I did it. University in Baltimore. Following graduation in 1994, his then girlfriend and now beautiful wife, Kendall, suggested they move somewhere where the weather was nice year-round. So they ended up here in Florida, where Chip took his first full-time job with the city of Temple Terrace as an athletic director and then recreational supervisor, from where Chip and his wife moved to Pinellas County in 1997, where he worked for a number of cities as a career progressed, including Dunedin in 1997 to 2000, Clearwater 2000 to 2003, and Largo 2003 to 2018. During that time period, he went back to school where he earned a master's degree in public administration from USF. Go Bulls. Finally, in 2018, he was hired in the current position here in Oldsmar. Chip has been married to his wife, Kendall, for 24 years and has 3 wonderful daughters, DeLacy, who is 21, and an EMT with Sunstar. Is she here?
Nope, she's working tonight.
Okay. Ryan, who is 18 and attends St. Petersburg College. And Drew, who is 13 and helps her dad coach a youth soccer team. Chip hasn't yet been here 2 years, but has made a remarkable positive difference to the city of Oldsmar. Let's take a moment to highlight his last year and a half. Completed the 580 landscape project with $135,000 of Florida Department Transportation funding, created a city facility maintenance planning document to assist with building maintenance, continues positive relationships with sports organizations, including the North Pinellas Panthers, directed the transition of the BMX from a provider facility to a staff-led one. While the track was open, he implemented 4 new beginner leagues with 119 riders. He also oversaw Gator Nationals with 963 riders from around the world. He applied incident command structure concepts to special events to ensure safety and efficiency of communication. He coordinated provisions of kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding at RE Olds Park. He helped ensure success of the first women's club super party. Now, the super party is soup, and the women's club made soup, and they were in a panic rage. They were concerned that all these crock pots full of this homemade soup was going to blow up the electrical system at the State Street Center. So Chip came in there. He ensured that the electrician system was prepared and ready for that super party, which was a huge success. And by the way, the next one is on Saturday 25th at 11 a.m., and you don't want to miss it because the soup is incredible. He upgraded our special event collection with enhanced activities and added new events such as the Purple Heart Ceremony, Sunset Sounds, Celebrate Oldsmar, and the Christmas Golf Cart Parade. And I want to mention one thing about the Sunset Sound series. When the Centennial Task Force, they had the Fifth Fridays. And when that Centennial ended in our city, a lot of the residents in the community came together saying, why did you stop those events on that Friday night? We love those concert series. So Chip, my hat off to you for getting that Sunset Sounds system back for the people of the city. It's great bringing the community together. Great job on that. And also the Christmas Golf Parade. I'm looking forward to that this Friday night. He continues to lead staff in a positive culture shift, which you can experience if you speak to any of the Leisure Services staff. He coordinated expansion of recreation programming, including the operation of the Oldsmar hockey rink and the State Street Center. Chip enjoys the family atmosphere, working for the city of Oldsmar, the camaraderie among the employees, and being the leading scorer on the city's hockey team, which you're not far behind me. I mean, I'm not far behind you. Congratulations, Chip, on the Council Manager Award presented to Chip Pops December 2000.
Now I know you wrote it.
All right. Well, he's got to say something first.
Speech.
You want to say something first?
Speech. I'm not one for many words, obviously.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, I appreciate the recognition. I worked for a number of cities, as you heard through my biography, and this has to be the most family-oriented city that I've ever worked for. There's such a lot of, like I said, camaraderie and care amongst the employees. It's a wonderful place to work. I appreciate the accolades, but obviously I don't do the work myself. My staff, they're the ones who really do the work. You know, we all have our ideas. We brainstorm together. We try to recognize the needs in the community, and those are the guys that have the, our rubber to the road. So I thank them for their help, because obviously I don't do that all by myself, but it's nice to be recognized, and I want to share that with them. So, but thank you, everybody, and I will still continue to try to be the leading scorer, but I'll try to pass the ball too. I'll try to pass. Unless we're tied for goals, I might shoot myself.
All right. You guys want
Bring your family in for a picture.
Ben, a few words, all right.
I know.
Nope, you're still in it. Still in it. Still.
Big smiles. One more.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. This city has a lot of key people in it. And I will tell you, when I think about that kind of group of people, I'm a sports person. I think about impact player. People who come in, make a difference in the game. People who come into the city, make a difference, and you are one of those impact players. So congratulations, well deserved. Great. Item number 2 on the agenda, the presentation of the Homer Brunson Award Schreckengosch Award for the third quarter 2019, which will be presented by our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mayor.
Give him some love. And cut off his
I
mic.
direct your attention to the video screen where former Councilmember Beaverland explains the background to this award.
1991. And what it was for, it was for one of our workers here in the city that was chosen by their peers to win the Ward Schrettengost Homer Brunson Award. And what the award is, it serves two purposes. One, to recognize an outstanding worker here that works for the city of Oldsmar. And the other, what it serves is that Ward Schrettengost and Homer Brunson were both council members here in the city of Oldsmar. Ward Schrettengost served as mayor for 16 years. His last year on the council serving was 1970. I had the privilege of serving with him on his last year. And Homer Brunson served 11 years as a council member and 1 year as a mayor. And this serves two purposes: to honor Ward Schrettengost and Homer Brunson, and to honor one of the incredible workers we have in the city of Oldsmar.
Thank you. The award for the third quarter of calendar 2019, which is also the fourth calendar of our fiscal year, is Tom Brennan. TV. Dawn, you coming up? Steph, you coming up?
How many goals do you have, Tom?
How many goals have we given up?
Tom is our goalie for our street hockey team, and we'll leave it at that. He'd love to give it up.
We're in the safe space.
Just like the number of goals we usually give up, but not because of him. Sorry, I screwed that up. Anyway, Tom's here for multiple purposes tonight, one of which you'll see shortly after this award. But the difference between this award and the award that was just given, which, by the way, Felicia and I hired him, and it was a home run. That all of what was said about Chip was well-deserved. This award is voted on by the employees. So what this says about, it goes through a nomination process. We give it one every quarter. This says a lot about the employee. It's a nomination from supervisors. So Tom's victory in this sense is a symbol of what he means to the employees. And I know sometimes you think we get up here and talk about how great our people are, but they really are. And we have a bunch of all-stars, and you're looking at one of the biggest ones, because if you knew the list of the responsibilities he has, you'd kind of wonder how he can do it, and we have a boatload of those people as well. So, being a man of few words, first of all, congratulations, TB. It's for your husband. I know where that's going. You can have this, TB. Steph, hands back. Remember, hands back. I'm her hitting coach in softball. Has FSU called yet? I'm still working on that. Okay. Anyway, so the Brunson Schreckengost Award, which Councilmember Beaverland described, is given each quarter, and it's supposed to be focused on the criteria of outstanding leadership skills, striving towards a goal or accomplishment, a great representative of the city, exceeding expectations, going above the call of duty, showing a positive attitude and a willingness to assist, someone who has impacted you in a helpful or positive way. The award contains a check for $125 for Dawn and a day off for Tom. And the nomination, which was not named here, but I think I know who was the nominator. Who was the nominator? Staff. Somebody in the staff of the fire department, which is great. I think it's important to say that, but obviously the vote tells you what the rest of the employees think of him. So this write-up is, I'd like to nominate Lieutenant Tom Brennan, which in about 10 minutes is going to be something else, Tom Brennan, for his accomplishments in reorganizing and restructuring the city's Emergency Operations Center, or also known as our EOC, which is responsible for the strategic direction and operational decisions during an emergency. These duties normally fall under the charge of the fire chief. Staff positions within the EOC were reassigned to better utilize personnel's knowledge and strengths for carrying out the principles of emergency preparedness and emergency management. He conducted multiple training sessions for the EOC staff, ran the EOC activation trial run at Nielsen more than once, and led the statewide hurricane drill for the city of Oldsmar, as he has in the past. He taught ICS 100, 200, 700, and 800 to city employees, which are emergency operations requirements for people that are in the OC, and created a system to account for every single employee who is deployed on storm assignments, including who they report to and how they report. Very important part of that. Tom implemented the Everbridge mass notification system to keep everyone informed before, during, and after emergency events, and provided Everbridge training to city leaders. He conducted web EOC training and trained administrative staff on dispatching low-priority 911 calls. He gathers information and writes incident action plans and has developed a city tornado policy, first time ever. Together with Amy Ratliff, he fine-tuned the FEMA 214 form to better meet Oldsmar's needs in reporting on emergencies and in assisting facilities with the gathering and transporting of the staff's equipment and belongings to an off-site EOC. Tom created to-go kits for each staff member. Now facilities can pick up all packed to-go kits from the fire station and deliver them to the off-site EOC in one trip, saving a considerable amount of time and money. With the EOC's primary responsibilities being protection of life and property and ensuring continuity of the city, I feel that Tom's efforts in EOC planning, which fall outside the scope of his normal job description, are deserving of this award. I couldn't agree more. Tom, congratulations. What happened to Florida State this week?
They won in basketball.
That's what I meant.
Okay. No, first of all, I'd like to thank the city manager and assistant city manager to believe in me, to give me a chance of leading the EOC, which is a great privilege for me to do. But as Chip said, you don't do it alone. You do it with a team. I get emotional and everything, don't I? But you got your division chiefs, you got your sections chief, you got your deputy chiefs, you have so many people involved. You got people like Nan Bennett, who has so organized. I asked her for information about her org chart, and I get it within minutes and helps me plan all the responsibilities of people, so I appreciate her. It's a teamwork effort. It's team, and this is a great team to be on. Thank you.
You guys might as well stay.
Congratulations, sir, and yeah, don't go far. Don't go far. So the next item on the agenda is an exciting one, and it is public service oath and pinning for Fire Captain Tom Brennan. And I'd call on our city clerk, Ann Nixon.
Nice to meet you.
This wasn't planned either.
You're so weird.
Can you hold your dad's stuff? Oh, thanks.
You my cheat sheet?
You got your cheat sheet? You're smart. That's why you're going to be captain.
Yeah, there you go.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Tom Brennan, do solemnly pledge to uphold the laws and Constitution of the United States of America, the state of Florida, the city of Oldsmar. I pledge to remain ever vigilant, protecting our citizens' lives, health, homes, and property. I pledge to accomplish our mission through education, training, leadership, and the commitment to accountability and respect. I pledge to accept with honor the duties and responsibilities of Fire Captain for Oldsmar Fire Rescue. So help me God.
Congratulations. Oh, yeah.
We gotta actually do it.
$20 if you draw blood.
I can do it.
I wasn't planning.
Okay, I got it. I got it. Okay.
That's so cool. Yeah, put the papers down. Put the papers down. There you go.
Yeah, bring them up.
We need Dave too. Next.
Congratulations. Well deserved, Captain. Next item on the agenda, public service oath and pinning of Fire Captain Dave Young. Dave, come on up.
The glue guy. Okay. Mr. Momentum.
Coming up
No,
with,
oh,
tell
so
us.
this is my family. My dad, Mr. Young, and my son Ben, and my wife Jen.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not winging it.
You're gonna raise your right hand.
That on yours.
Just want to hold you.
Please repeat after me.
I, Dave Young, do solemnly pledge to uphold the laws and Constitution of the United States of America and the city of Oldsmar. I pledge to remain ever vigilant, protecting our citizens' lives, health, homes, and property. I pledge to accomplish our mission through education, training, leadership, and the commitment to accountability and respect. I pledge to accept with honor the duties and responsibilities of Fire Captain for Oldsmar Fire Rescue. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Jen, $20 if you draw blood.
So cool. One more, Mark. Oh, she poked herself?
That's true.
Specific.
She's right. I owe you, Jen. Didn't say whose.
It's a screw.
Shining off those domes.
There's a couple. There's a couple.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
You'll score a goal tomorrow? Yeah, we need you.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen. Well deserved. Well deserved. It's good for the city, that's for sure. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 5, presentation of Business of the Quarter Award for the fourth quarter of 2019, which will be presented by Vice Mayor Katie Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. Our Business of the Quarter awardee, QTM Incorporated, has been in business for over 30 years, 25 of those years right here in Oldsmar. They're a family-owned business and one of our manufacturers who is often overlooked because they're so busy doing what they do over in the industrial sector. Our awardee was actually nominated by the Oldsmar Fire Department for direct support that they've constantly provided for numerous projects. QTM is a machine shop with a diverse array of equipment and capabilities led by Hillary Douglas, second generation owner of the business. Over the years, they've built, gosh, look at this list, radio holders, boxes for hoses, tool holders for the jaws of life and other tools. We need that. Markers for a helicopter landing pad, a guard for the siren on the antique truck, among other items. They also donated the sign, if you've ever seen it, for the City of Oldsmar water treatment plant. Gorgeous sign. Additionally, Ms. Douglas is a leader in the manufacturing community, serving on the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce Manufacturers Council, which really contributes to our economic development plan, as well as Tampa Bay Works, a unique regional effort to kind of recruit and retain talent, create a talent pipeline to drive that acquisition of good people and to keep them here for the regional manufacturing sector. It's based on a proven national model, and this is one of the first efforts in the state of Florida. So big deal. We are proud to present our December 2019 Business of the Quarter Award to Ms. Hillary Douglas of QTM Incorporated. Her leadership in the community and the manufacturing sector make her well-deserving. She has given of their time, talent, and treasure in supporting our community for the last 25 years and hopefully 25 more to come. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll move it. Would you like to say anything?
A woman of few words, perhaps, maybe just a few, a very few.
Yeah, I am very appreciative of this recognition. I mean, we have been in Oldsmar for 25 years. Obviously, I have not been running the business for that long, but it is a great place to work. I mean, it is a great place to have a business. We really have no complaints. We love helping out the fire department. We, anything you guys need, we're always there for you guys. So, I mean, you guys help us out, we help you out. And it's a great relationship.
The definition of community.
Absolutely. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And thank you for all the support. All the support that you give to the fire department and the city. I know that the chief sent a message telling us of all the donations and all the extra work that you guys have done and put into it. So all of our citizens are grateful to you. So thank you once again. Well deserved.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Community Redevelopment Agency, item number 6, CA 19-01, authorize city attorney to prepare ordinance for amendments to the City of Oldsmar Town Center Development Code. And I believe we're going to have a presentation from our Planning and Redevelopment Director. And there she is, Marie, right on the spot.
Like magic.
Wow. She saw the train coming and said, I better get up.
Christmas magic.
It is all yours.
It'll be a very brief presentation. We're just going to, the council met on 2 work sessions, one in May and one in August, to discuss amendments to the town center. And primarily the amendments involved describing primary uses for each architectural style and adding a new architectural style. There's the council's vision for the town center is evolving, and we need to kind of get up to speed. We haven't done anything since, I think, 2005 with regard to amendments or architectural styles. So times are changing, and we need to be on board with that. So when I'm talking about primary styles for the architectural styles, I mean something that will identify what type of architecture it is. So for Florida vernacular, Some of the primary characteristics would be the wood frame or masonry buildings. They usually have one-story porches. There's little ornamentation. There's porch columns, etc., simple entrances. And so these are illustrations of what Florida vernacular would look like. Bungalow or craftsman, we have quite a few in the town center. They're 1 and 2 story. There's porches, low pitched gable roofs, large sash windows, etc. So there's an example of the bungalow or craftsman. Mediterranean revival, and to repeat again, it's going to be 3 of these primary characteristics of the architectural styles that we would look at. So there are 2 or 4 stories, stucco walls, windows in the shape of arches or circles, wrought iron balconies, etc. And so the library is a good example of Mediterranean revival. Colonial revival, it's Georgian, Federal, and Jeffersonian architecture, columns, porticos, and this building would be an example of the colonial revival. And finally, Queen Anne, and it's very decorative. I think that you wouldn't have a problem trying to identify it. Steeply pitched roofs, multiple dormers and gables, and so that would be an example of Queen Anne. So the amendments are to require a minimum of 3 different characteristics of any style within the Town Center Pattern Book. And we're also proposing to add a new style. We call it contemporary eclectic. I'll go through that in a minute. And we're also going to strike the word pastel as unacceptable because there's already pastel buildings in the town center. So the contemporary eclectic for commercial, it will be just for commercial properties, not in the TCR or TCB. It'll be TCCN and TCCR. And so usually there's simple, there's clarity of forms, there's a use of glass as a feature, but it's just not glass. It could be a mixture with brick or steel, etc. Active roofs, green roofs, multiple level roofs. And so here's an example of contemporary eclectic. You see the glass and the brick and the stone. And then I think you're familiar with Eulalie. That was a converted industrial building, and the building at the bottom has like steel and glass. So we're looking to incorporate that in the commercial areas. So if there's any questions, I will try to answer that at this time.
Anybody have any questions?
I do have a few questions.
Okay, go right ahead.
Marie, I was a bit confused on the eclectic. It said that it was primarily for commercial, but it's allowed in TCCR. So
your town center commercial residential. So that is like
residential
mixed.
allowed? Okay.
It's mixed use. So I suppose you could have it for like a condo or apartment building or something, but it would have to be reviewed, by city council.
Okay, and that wouldn't be like a house, like a straight
No.
house? Okay. That
Nothing
helps.
in TCR or TCB.
Okay, that helps me understand. And then my other question, this presentation makes it really clear to me what the primary elements are that we're looking for in each design type, I guess we could call it. But in the actual code, it just states architecture must incorporate a minimum of 3 primary characteristics, but it doesn't necessarily define primary characteristics. I mean, I love the presentation you just gave, though, where it had like 4 bullet points of what those primary characteristics are. I'm just concerned that it's very broad.
For a reason. We want to leave it up to the architect or the builder to be creative. So if you look in the packet, underneath the code, for example, characteristics, and I think it's frame vernacular, page
20 of 165?
It's right after frame vernacular.
Yeah, so like 21 of 165,
Yeah.
okay.
So then you're looking at exterior materials. So could any of those materials, it just doesn't have to be one. It's listed there, and that would be primary. Roof type would be primary. Roof surface could be primary. Detailing could be primary. So those are the only things that we'll just take one of those, make sure there's at least 3.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does help me understand. It just, the way that these charts are laid out behind each style, the chart's called characteristics, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if they comply with number one plan, L-shaped, and I have the elevation, that's one of the characteristics that
Plan,
are
yeah, well,
listed.
plan and elevation and foundation, those don't really.
You see what I mean, though? How
Yeah.
it doesn't say what a primary characteristic is, was my concern. But I do understand the need to leave it open to allow for builder creativity. And of course, the board is the ultimate,
We could, I don't know,
arbiter of
Tom,
what
can we
needs.
put it like in the appendix, like examples as like another sheet in the ordinance to,
Or we can specify in each one of the characteristic charts what is primary and what is not.
okay. That makes it,
That'd make it a lot clearer.
That's what I was looking for, but I do want to make sure that I'm not being overly
Well, I don't think you
burdensome
are.
on developers.
I
I
don't
just
think
don't
you are
want somebody
by-
to say, well, you said primary characteristics. Here's the characteristics. I meet plan, elevation, and foundation.
Well, I
and
think that's a good
know-
reason to clarify it.
Well, I know nothing would come before council that Marie and her team hasn't already looked over and determined actually really complies. It just wouldn't happen. I understand that. But,
That's not necessarily
but a
true. It
code
could
is
still
a
come to
code.
council if it's in the CRA.
right,
But having said that,
true. Do you
the
see where
one
I'm coming from?
caveat that we talked about at the work sessions, I don't know if you still concur, that we had talked about kind of borrowing from each architectural style if
Right.
necessary. So, builder, developer wasn't kind of locked into that, just kind of letting them be open to their creative. Yeah.
Sure, I understand that. That was my only concern and questions of staff.
okay.
Thank
Well,
you for
let's
the
see if
opportunity.
they can address part of it when they create the code. Is there any other questions for staff?
No.
Seeing none, all right. As a point of reference, on November 13, 2019, the planning board met and also recommended this change. So thought I'd add that for you. I'm just.
Thank you.
Little helper guy here tonight. All right, so at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Are we going to discuss?
Authorize the city attorney.
After?
Authorize the city attorney, to prepare an ordinance for amendments to the City of Oldsmar Town Center Development Code. I'll take a motion,
So
a
moved.
second. Do I have a second? And discussion.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure what order it was in. I just wanted to give a shout out to former Vice Mayor Gabby McGee, because over the years, we worked on this a lot, and her knowledge of architecture and her research and everything really helped me a lot anyway. And I am really happy to see that we are updating things. And I don't know a lot about architecture, but I do know a lot about color. And I just have a smiley face next to strike the word pastel as an unacceptable color, because I tried that last time I was on council. And I think it's wonderful that we've gotten to this point.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, that's not true. You know it.
You know I love pastels. I mean,
So I just wanted to say that she's with us in spirit on this item for sure. And that's it.
absolutely. Any other comments? Seeing none, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 7, schedule work session for Oldsmar Town Center. I know all of us received multiple dates, and I'm going to put it out there that the only 2 dates out of those dates that I was available was the 23rd or the 30th. So I don't, Al, if you've got, there was any kind of,
23rd was looking the best, but I did not talk to Sandy or Dan, Councilmember Grimes, or Siraki, if that was acceptable to them.
okay, well,
It was okay with the other 3.
Councilmember Siraki?
23rd and 30th are both good for me.
Everybody's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
23rd is my preferred date.
So the 23rd, we're good with the 23rd?
Yes.
Good with both, yeah.
I'd rather do it on the
Excellent.
23rd
All right,
also.
we're going to meet on the 23rd, and just kind of as a FYI, the purpose of that meeting is going to be really twofold. One is to have an update from the city manager and assistant city manager on where we're at with our top-ranked projects that were proposed. Hopefully, by that time, the holidays will pass, and we'll be able to have something to really update us on. Maybe if they have questions for us at that time, might be a good opportunity for us to dive into it. And the second is really for us to have a discussion about what's next, kind of evaluate where we're at, what's next, I'm kind of operating on the assumption of we're going to continue to use our approved concept plan as kind of a guide to guide us. So we'll get into that discussion there. But just so everyone's kind of prepared along that lines, and if there's some specifics that we may want to consider, then I will circulate that as well. Do we have a time for that? Do we need to go?
4 p.m. It says 4
4.
here.
Excellent. All right, that doesn't require a vote, does it? I mean, if you'd like to vote on it, we can run it through real quick. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent docket, which will be announced by our city clerk.
Item number 8, approved minutes of November 5th, 2019 City Council meeting. Item number 9, approved minutes of November 19th, 2019 City Council meeting. And item number 10, approved payment to legal counsel for November 2019 legal services.
Does anybody wish to pull anything? No? The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent docket. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, City of Oldsmar, City Attorney.
So I have 3 items tonight. The first item is Resolution 2019-20. You remember that you passed an ordinance relative to changing a portion of the charter. This is a follow-up to that. This is the actual resolution which sets forth the ballot language that you will see on the ballot. And so I'm going to read that resolution by title only. Resolution 2019-20, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar establishing the wording of the substance of a charter amendment and a ballot title for an amendment to the city charter of the City of Oldsmar to appear as a referendum issue on the ballot for the charter revision referendum to be held on March 17, 2020, and providing an effective date thereof. I'll just read that title and that question. The title will be Charter Amendment, Correcting Codification Error by Reinstating Language that Provided for Filling of Council Vacancies. The question will read, shall the charter pursuant to Ordinance 2019-08 be amended to correct a codification error by reinstating language that provided for the filling of vacancies on city council? And as required by statute, there's just an answer of yes or no. And so that's the ballot title, language, and reading of the resolution by title only.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12 is to consider and approve the Oak Leaf commercial plat. And I believe Maria is going to be giving us a short presentation on this agenda item.
Mayor and Council, this is a request for a replat of a 1.7 acre parcel. It's a commercial parcel. It was formerly a bank, and that has been demolished. The applicant proposes to split it into 2 lots. Actually, the majority of the lot is going to be a tidal wave car wash, and then there's going to be in the second lot a standalone ATM. So this is going through conformity review. It's zoned ROR residential office retail with a land use of ROR residential office retail. Staff is recommending that the City Council approve the Oak Leaf plat, and the Planning Board concurred with the staff recommendation. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? None? At this time, the chair will thank you.
So move.
Entertain a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none and sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Item number 13 on your agenda is a public hearing for the first reading of Ordinance 2019-09. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2019-09, an ordinance declaring the intention of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, to annex certain real property located in Section 22, Township 28 South, Range 16 East, further described as Lot 27, Block 17, map of Section Number 1, West Oldsmar, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96660, 0170270, into the corporate limits of the City of Oldsmar, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of Ordinance 2019-09 by title only.
And this is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this issue? Seeing none, at this time, I'll close the public hearing. The chair needs a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
One at a time.
One at a time. I knew it was coming. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Grimes?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2019-09, annexing 3136 Huron Avenue into the corporate limits of the city of Oldsmar passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Our next item on the agenda is our city manager, item number 14.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 14 is request council to provide guidance on a proposed equestrian trail options as presented in your packet. Following a request by City Council to present options for the establishment of a horse trail in Oldsmar, staff began identifying potential locations that would be the most conducive for equestrian use with the least amount of impact to current operations, current use, and undisturbed habitats. The trail options have been provided for your review, and I've asked ACM Felicia Donnelly and Leisure Services Director Chip Potts to present.
And that's award-winning Chip Potts.
Score on the hockey team.
Thank you.
Evening, Council. Felicia Donnelly, Assistant City Manager. You all had requested that we investigate options for equestrian accommodation a few months ago. And so we reviewed our natural lands and our constraints in our existing trail system. And we have 2 viable options that basically use existing infrastructure. And so both of them are located on the western edge of Mobley Bayou Wilderness Preserve. And so I believe that a map is going to come up. So the left side, even this, okay, so the left side is the first option that we've called the South Trail option. And so that would, the beginning of that trail, or the northernmost terminus, would be at the end of Country Club Drive. There's a cul-de-sac there. So we would have to, it's mostly cleared now, but we would have to add some, we would have to clear it a little more. We'd have to put in some infrastructure to allow horse trailers to go, but it doesn't have a curb, which is very helpful because they could just drive across. And so you would traverse south. This is a very nice wooded shell trail section. And it's also, it's 10 feet wide, which is important because the equestrians need some width. And so we have looked at the design guidelines for equestrian trail accommodation. It's produced by USDA and USDOT. And so 10 feet is sufficient even to turn around a horse. So we have an existing facility. And so it would travel south to the Duke Energy right-of-way, where you can see where it stops, right where the Duke Energy right-of-way there. At that point, we would propose that we installed no horses past this point, and that they would turn around there and go back up to the start of that trail. And the reason we would turn them around there is because if you continued west, you would hit Mobley Beach, and we want to discourage use at Mobley Beach. So that is, we've called that option 1, the South Trail. It's round trip, it's 1.36 miles. So the second option is using that alignment and then extending it north. So instead of beginning at Country Club, we would begin at the National Orange boat ramp. There's a very large open space there that people already park boats and trailers, and there's plenty of room to add horse trailers. And so you would start there, and then you would come south, but you would not continue on the trail. And the reason is that you'll hit 2 trail bridges, and you can see this alignment takes you on the west side of the 2 ponds. The trail's on the east side. Those bridges are not adequate to support horses. Horses can weigh 1,700 pounds. The average one's about 1,500 pounds. So this alignment would use the western side. The city, we own that property. It's not Duke right of way. And it would come behind the homes along Country Club. And so it would come along the side of that. It's already cleared out. We use it as an access road now. And so most of the properties that face it are fenced. And there's some encroachments that we would have to take care of. There's about 4 houses, I believe, that are encroaching onto city property because they wanted to extend their yards to the ponds. Then you would come down to Dunkirk, and then you would enter the street system there. So then you would we would hit Country Club, and then Dunkirk to Country Club, you would enter the road system there, which is what the trail users do. So in order to use that segment, we would need a code change that would allow horses on the roads, because presently we don't. And then you would continue to the end of Country Club where that cul-de-sac is, and then down the other alignment. Now that option does give a little longer. So it would be the total trail length of the total trail is 2.76 miles. So that's substantially longer than the first option of 1.36 miles. Do you have any questions for me?
Is there anyone have any questions of staff before we get into discussion?
What was the round trip on the north section?
The north and south section, that second option is 2.76 miles round trip.
0.76 total?
Total.
Okay, and the other question I have is, if we do, if say we, like the whole one, north and south, and we had to do a code change to allow horses on the road, would that mean that would give people free rein to ride their horses on other roads, or would we just do a code that said Dunkirk and Country Club?
We could craft the ordinance to read either way. We could have an exception, have the prohibition stay in place with an exception for this portion of the roadway if we wanted to do it that way.
Okay,
We
great.
could carve it out where it would make a carte blanche for the
Right,
entire
gotcha,
city.
gotcha, okay.
Any other questions of staff?
Has there been any sort of outreach to any of the folks in Country Club or the Dunkirk area, or even down further south near the park, to learn their thoughts on any such proposal? Okay. I didn't think there was.
Any other questions of staff before we get into discussion amongst yourselves? Thank you. That's all I
Thank
got.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Chip.
So before we get into voting on an option, I just want to open it up for discussion on the two different options and see what the initial feedback of the council is. And I'll start with Vice Mayor Gannon.
So it was serendipitous that this appeared on our agenda this evening. Over the weekend, right out front of my house on Lafayette Boulevard, my children and I watched as a whole group of folks on their horses traverse down the median on Lafayette Boulevard, which happens relatively consistently. The kids were sort of delighted and enamored. I grabbed onto them so they would not run into this boulevard, and into the median to see the horses. They were happy to see them. And I wasn't, necessarily upset about seeing them, but it reminded me of, unfortunately, some disregard that I've noticed for the ordinances that we do have. And unfortunately, in that frame of mind, I began to read, the items on this evening's agenda. These two options both require a lot of voluntary compliance, voluntary turnaround, a few hundred yards before a beach that they used to freely access, albeit without permission. It adds this element to one of them, potentially to our streets and neighborhoods, which I don't know is safe. The voluntary cleanup, staff mentioned discouraging use at the beach. Well, I recall that maybe a month ago, the county actually prohibited horses on the beach, not just discouraged use at the beach. And I appreciate very much the staff effort that has gone into this in trying to find something to create an accommodation. I'm concerned about voluntary compliance. I'm concerned for especially option 2, the folks who live on Dunkirk and Country Club, for the safety of everything from, their children, animals, vehicles, the riders on city streets. For option 1, again, you've got a turnaround issue, and then there's, some infrastructure that would have to be created. Before, voting on an option, I feel a little bit uncomfortable voting on an option without, numbers on what a potential cost would be. for
Clarity,
implementing
they're looking for
either.
guidance. We're not approving it. We're just
Right.
saying the pleasure of the council is there's a majority
this
that
one
likes
or
this
that one.
option or doesn't
Yeah.
like any option. whatever the case might be. And then
So-
what we would do is ask staff to go back and actually put numbers to it.
My initial reaction was that I wasn't super fond of either of them for different reasons.
Okay.
I just have strong concerns about safety and mixed use with voluntary compliance that I've not seen.
Very good.
That's my response. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Norris.
I shared that in our meeting when we were talking about it, one of my questions was have we reached out to the homeowners on Dunkirk and Country Club? I think that would be something that if I lived on those two roads, I might want to just get a letter, survey, what do you think? What are your feelings if we did this? But I don't share the same objection to it. I was raised with horses and I love horses, and this goes along with our eco-terrorism, the preliminary figures.
Tourism.
What did I say?
Tourism.
Oh my God, did I say terrorism? Oh my God, I said that on tape.
Well, sometimes those horse patties can be.
They can be, hey, Mayor, they can be quite the bombs. Anyway.
I got it.
Anyway, sorry about that. Tourism, okay, so, I like that. I ride my bike on this trail system. I mean, I go over the little bridges. I don't go through Dunkirk, but all this stuff on the side of the Tico right-of-way, I have hardly ever seen another individual during the times that I was on that path. So I'm not as concerned with mixed use. I think that, if there's proper signage, I think that people will respect. I do share your concern, voluntary cleanup. I mean, if I'm on a horse and my horse poops, am I really gonna get off my horse and clean it up? I mean, so I don't know how that's gonna work, but I like the idea with more research. I'm glad we're not voting on anything yet, but I like it.
Okay. I always want to say Councilmember Gannon while you sit right there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Councilmember Grimes.
Thank you. I share some of the same concerns that Councilmember Gannon does as far as the voluntary. My concerns were, shared use. You never know the stability of an animal such as that, and, bikers, kids, anyone. It's just a concern. I'm in insurance, so liability is always at the forefront of what I look at, and, it concerns me that you're gonna have that kind of mixed use in only 10 feet of area, which, is concerning. I understand the need for something for them. I mean, again, I'm open to discussions further on it, but I think, I have concerns about it traversing on roads and with traffic. And again, that situation concerns me more, but, I prefer option one, if anything, at this point, to get more data on, keeping them more in a confined area, not so, out in the open.
Out there.
Well, it's just concerning.
Understand.
I've ridden horses and they are temperamental beasts. They're beautiful, but they can be temperamental.
Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for letting me go last.
I'm going last.
When this item came up on the agenda, I met with Al and Felicia, and we talked about applications from any homes or people that own horses in Tampa or Oldsmar, and we've gotten no applications from our last council meeting. I wanted to bring that up. Katie, I have a question for you, and I hope this is okay, but do you know where those horses came from that were on your street?
I do not know, and I did not ask. If I had to guess, they probably came from the continuation of State Street into Hillsborough County.
Thank you. And then the other question I had for Felicia and Al was the cost to do this trail, and they mentioned it would be around $10,000, which I don't think is bad. But I think that, first of all, the first thing is I would like to see if there's any people out there that would fill out these applications to apply to use their horses here in the city or from Tampa, which is on Racetrack Road, and that would be a fee that I think they should pay. As horse owners, they should pay that instead of taking that money out of our taxpayers' money. That's my opinion. Other than that, the only other thing I wanted to mention is the Countryway people. I think we should maybe send them a letter that we're considering this if we decide to do this, because I'm not sure they're gonna want horses going down their street. I'm not really sure how that would be. I mean, if it was me, I don't think I would want that. And then the other thing is, Al mentioned maybe putting a fence behind this property over here, which I really don't want to put a fence up in that area, but right but over here, I don't.
What street?
He's pointing to the ones that are
North where the existing
Option
parking
one or
is.
option two?
option 2.
Yeah, we talked about maybe some people have their boats on that property, some people have their sheds on that property, and mentioned about putting a fence, and I really don't like fences in that type of area where it's a wildlife area or a pond. I don't like that idea either. So those are my only concerns,
Okay.
and I think that's it.
So is there an option you support, one or the other?
I really am not really happy about the whole thing.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I think if there were a lot of homes in the city of Oldsmar that own horses that wanted to do this, I think I would change my tune. But currently, I don't know that there's any homes in Oldsmar that have horses. I think they're all in the Tampa area.
Okay. All right, so let me give you, are you finished?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you,
Thank
Mayor.
you. So let me give you my thoughts on it. There's a lot of good points that have been made, and I will come back to a little bit of history on this, in that we have properties that are zoned to allowed to have horses, and then we essentially took away their ability to ride, de facto changing the code. You say whatever you want, but we basically, in my opinion, and there's quite a few homes that actually have that right. And, to some extent, one might make the argument that we somehow devalued their property, because, they can have it, they can ride around their yard, but most don't get horses, nor historically was that the case. What I would say is, I am in favor of option 2 to be explored. And to be explored is the key word, right?
Right.
I would favor sending letters to see what kind of feedback there is from the neighbors. I would also be interested in requirements such as horse diapers as a requirement to ride the trail. I mean, it's used quite effectively in parades and everything else, and that would help mitigate some of the potential cleanup issues that you have. Enforcement is always a problem with every ordinance we ever pass, and so while I respect that it's a concern, we have golf carts that, use the cut through off Forest Lakes to go back. I mean, compliance is always an issue. But, sometimes I think it's easy to fall into the trap of overreaching for the fear of something that has not happened, right? To my knowledge, I don't know of any issue that's taken place with a golf cart on the trails where there was an injury or damage to property. Not saying it hasn't happened, but if it has, I haven't heard about it, right? And so, there's things like that, is all I'm saying. I will also say to you that I think we need to investigate what the actual cost is, clearly. But I'm in favor of option 2 for 2 reasons. Number one, it's a longer trail, so it makes it usable, right? Because I don't think it would make sense to support creating a trail that's, just over a mile, because I don't know that anybody would use it. I mean, it's almost like, well, why bother? And I could be wrong about that. So that's one of the reasons I support option 2, or I'd like to have it researched more. I don't know that I would vote for it to pass it today, not knowing the details. The other thing is, and this is going to make some of your hair stick up, but I'm just going to be completely transparent. I like the fact that it's a very small, controlled amount of road that it goes on. I like that, because I'll be very candid and tell you that I would be in favor of a support that goes through ultimately connecting where the properties that people live that actually have the right to have horses, because there is a path there, but they would also have to go on a portion of State Street to cut over. And so it would be interesting to see how well this worked. Do we have issues? You know, are we making a mistake? You know, we're not jumping all the way out there. We're doing it in somewhat of a controlled environment if in fact we were to move on with it. But I do think option one is not enough. You know, it's just not enough that I think it would actually attract. You know, I have to emphasize something, and this is speaking to one of Dan's points, which is a good point, right? And that is, how many applications have we had? It's the chicken or the egg, I think, to some extent, right? There's no reason for us to get an application because there's nowhere to ride, right? I mean, quite frankly. The second part to that is, let's not forget that, you know, and I will use horsepower for kids as an example, okay? And that is, a lot of Oldsmar citizens use them as their source to get a horse, right? So it's kind of like, you know, we brought in Empower Adventures to use so we could have them rent kayaks now, right? So it's like, not everybody owns a kayak, but there's a source for them to get them. Same kind of theory in my mind, that it's a place for our citizens to go. And I have no problem with finding out some kind of mythology. Maybe it's a permit, maybe it's something along that lines, where there's a citizen, a non-citizen fee, something like that, where if they're not a citizen here, but they are our neighbors next door who come over and support our restaurants and our programs and everything, they could still come, but they have to pay a fee. You know, and so maybe those are some of the different things to look at. I don't think this is something that we have to rush out and get done, but I will tell you, there are a lot of citizens here, and you know, nobody has purposely made a call out to all the horse folks to be here to speak. You know, if you've ever been to one of those public meetings, it can be pretty full room. But because I don't think we want that at this point. You know, I think we want to just continue to, in good faith to you know, look at what there is, what does it mean, and so with that being said, I'm going to do this. I'll entertain a motion for option one and then option two, right? So first, if option one passes by a majority, then of course we won't vote on option two, but I think there's more of a consensus there.
To do what with
The longer
option one?
Or directing staff to go get more
I
information.
had for two.
Yeah, unless, well, how about this? Why don't I see this? Let's see if there's interest. The chair will entertain a motion to move forward with making, how about this? The chair will entertain a motion to move forward with making a recommendation to staff on one of these options. Because if that fails, then it's dead.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? No second? Everyone understand the motion? Motion dies. I don't have to hit my guy.
Okay, so that means
So it
that
just
we're
said-
not going to do anything.
We're not making any recommendation. Next item on the agenda is item number 15. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 15 is approve annual citywide fuel purchase per Pinellas County Cooperative Contract Number 145-0387-B on CC 16-011. The city is a member of a cooperative contract sponsored by Pinellas County, expiring on December 15th, year 2020, which awarded Port Consolidated, Inc. as the vendor the purchase of unleaded and diesel fuel. City maintains a fleet fueling system as the municipal services center and purchases fuel inventory throughout the year. The citywide fuel purchases estimate at about $115,000. Appropriations for each division's estimated fuel usage have been included in their respective operating budgets, and staff recommends approval.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 16.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 16 is request council to approve the renewal of an agreement for citywide janitorial services to United States Service Industries, Inc. as amended. On December 4th, year 2018, the city renewed a contract with USSI to continue to provide janitorial services at city facilities for the first of 5 one-year renewals or one-year automatic renewal periods. At the conclusion of the first one-year renewal period, both the city and the contractor desired to continue the service agreement for a second one-year renewal with an amended term. The terms and conditions of the contract provide the option for either party to request a price adjustment, which has happened, and is not to exceed the average consumer price index for the 12-month period prior to the requested extension. This time, USSI has requested a 1.92% increase to renewal term beginning December 6th, year 2019, and continuing through December 5th, year 2020. The annual result of the requested increase amounts to $1,921.10 for a total contract cost of $101,978.18. The funding is available in the facilities budget. Staff recommends approval.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item number 17.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 17 is request council approval to waive bid requirements and award the purchase of a sewer camera inspection system to CUES, C-U-E-S, Incorporated, under the same terms and conditions and pricing of the HGAC by cooperative contract, letter SC01-18 on CC 20-010. The Distribution and Collection Division of the Public Works Department is responsible for maintaining the sanitary sewer system throughout the city of Oldsmar. The division currently has a manual push camera that is useful for inspection of small 4 to 6 inch diameter piping, such as sewer laterals with a reach of less than 100 feet. However, inspection of larger pipes or mains or longer runs of pipe require the assistance of a contractor. In reactive or emergency situations, this is impractical due to time and cost considerations. Public Works Department is requesting authorization to purchase a remote control sewer camera inspection system that includes a mainline camera with LED lighting, a transporter assemblies, accessories, and includes delivery and field training. The purchase of the proposed sewer camera inspection system will allow for the inspection of larger diameter piping, 6 to 15 inch, and will be equipped with longer cables extending the camera's reach. It has multiple uses, all of which would be a great help to us, and the funding for this purchase is included in the fiscal year capital improvement program in the Water and Sewer Operating Fund and is not to exceed $100,000, and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Discussion?
I think that this is going to, in the long run, save us a lot of money.
I think you're
I
right.
can't wait to see it.
I really do. I mean, at first I was like worried about the price, but then when I looked at everything that's included in that price and what it can do, this is going to save the city
I'm
money.
excited.
It's a big step up for our city, no question, you know, and it will help us, it will save us money in the long term. All right, any other discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 18.
Item 18 is request council approval to waive bid requirements and award contract with Red Zone Robotics Incorporated for wastewater collection system condition assessment services under the same terms and conditions and pricing of the Palm Bay contract number 63-0-2017 on piggyback form 19-006. This contract is for the second year of what we call our sewer line assessment. It will include assessment of approximately 62,500 linear feet of 8 to 12 inch sanitary sewer lines using robotic cameras to provide a condition evaluation and identify needed repairs. The plan is to assess the sanitary sewer system in increments until the entire sanitary gravity piping system has been evaluated. The assessments provide the basis for a proactive approach to maintaining the sanitary sewer system by identifying damaged piping before failure, thus preventing sewer spills, providing for public safety, environmental stewardship, and regulatory compliance. It differs from the prior item in that this is a system-wide evaluation that's programmatic and continued attempt on the Public Works Department to know what's out there before we have specific problems that we have to react to. Funds of $50,000 are budgeted for this work in the Distribution and Collection Capital Improvement Program in the Water and Sewer Operating Fund, and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Yeah. To save us money.
You know, some of these things, when I look at them, even when we look at them in the capital improvement budget, some of these things are things that frankly, I feel like we should have probably done
A long time ago.
a while back.
Yes.
But we were unwilling to invest the money in. So this is what I have referred to as the unsexy stuff that we're spending money on, but it's the important
I
stuff.
disagree. I think this is kind of sexy.
All right, at this time, the chair senses you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 19.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 19 is request council approval to waive bid requirements and award the Applied Drilling Incorporated the contract for the mechanical integrity, or MIT, test on the concentrate injection well utilizing the City of Tarpon Springs contract 170168-B-JJ on piggyback form 20-008. Applied Drilling Engineering has drilled wells successfully and performed various well maintenance activities with good results for the city. A mechanical integrity test of the city's deep injection well is required every 5 years as a condition of the FDEP underground injection control operation permit for the Class 1 injection well. The test includes pressure testing of the well casing, a trace study, video and temperature log to assess the integrity of the well. The deep injection well is used for concentrate and brine disposal for the reverse osmosis water treatment plant process, but is located in the water reclamation facility site. The lump sum proposal for this work is $40,000 and is also allocated in the fiscal year 1920 ROWTP division operating budget in the Water and Sewer Operating Fund, and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I just want to ask, when we approve this, if there's any way we could see the report when it's done, I'd be interested, if that's okay, Al.
We're glad to share it with you when we get a deliverable.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
That's it.
That's it. All right, City Clerk, item 20.
Item 20, adopt resolution 2019-21, setting the final ballot language for the March 17, 2020 special election. The qualification period for the March 17, 2020 special election for Council Seat 3 ended November 15, 2019. 3 candidates qualified: Chris Bohr, Andrew Knapp, and Kelly O'Brien. The resolution that was in the packet did have an error in the language in which it said Council Seat 1. And I want to thank Councilmember Grimes for catching that, so you have the
Oh,
corrected
yeah, it does,
version.
doesn't it? I'm staring right at it.
I'm going to read the resolution.
That's a mistake? I'm just kidding.
Terrorism was a mistake. It was a mistake.
That was funny.
Mine doesn't have the mistake.
Mine doesn't either.
Okay.
Well, it's been updated.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the resolution by title only. Resolution 2019-21, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, prescribing the ballot language for the 2020 municipal election for position of Council Seat 3 and providing for the effective date hereof. I recommend adoption.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm glad it's seat 3.
Sensing you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. City Clerk?
I just want to wish you all happy holidays.
Ending. All right, City Council, item number 21, approve the tentative agenda. Bear with me one second. I have homework assignments from our city clerk here. Is there anyone who wishes to pull anything from the, anyone who wishes to pull anything from the tentative agenda for
No.
discussion?
No.
Is there anyone who wishes to add anything to the tentative agenda?
No.
The chair does, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the tentative agenda amended to include the following items: public hearing of first reading of ordinance amending the City of Oldsmar Town Center Development Code. Next item, public hearing of first reading of ordinance to establish exemption from certain ad valorem taxes for certain new businesses and expansions of existing businesses. Additional item, accept Sue Brandon's resignation from the Leisure Services Advisory Board.
She's been there forever.
I will entertain a motion to accept
So
those, the tentative agenda as amended.
Second?
Second. Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is council comments, and I'm going to start with Council Member Norris.
Okay, real simple. I know how much work goes into, getting promoted within the military and within, the sheriffs and within the fire department. So I just wanted to say congratulations to our new fire captain, Dave Young, and Tom Brennan, because that's a lot. I just went to my niece's wedding, the one that went to West Point, she's a captain in the Army, and she married a captain in the Army that just got promoted to major, but he hadn't been pinned yet, so he did not outrank her at the wedding, which was awesome. They were both captains, so I know how much work goes into that. And the only other thing I really have is happy holidays to everyone, and I'll see y'all next year. Thank you.
There you go. Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple things. I want to do a special thank you to Katie, a special thank you to Linda, special thank you to Eric, Felicia, and a super special thank you to Sandy for coming to the Suncoast League of Cities' first ever social event and being a sponsor. Thank you guys for coming. It meant a lot to me and all of the elected officials around Pinellas and Hillsborough County and Pasco. Thank you so much for coming out. It meant a lot to me. Thank you. I just want to say quick things to Chip and Felicia. Thank you for your hard work on that project. I know what you guys went into. I just wanted to say thank you. And last but not least, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and don't forget Friday. Ho, ho, ho. Santa's coming to town.
Are you gonna be Santa in the party?
I'm not, no.
Santa's
Talking about crazy.
With that,
I'm just messing up all over the place tonight. Maybe it should be seat one. No, I'm just kidding.
all the comments we have for tonight, so let me get mine. Oh, are you two over there still? Okay. Councilmember Grimes.
I really don't have anything except to say happy holidays to everyone, and thank you to Mayor Seidel for allowing me the privilege of serving until the special election in March. It's an incredible experience. It's been a wonderful learning curve about the city that I love, and thank you. Thank
You're
you
doing a great job.
you're doing a great job.
Doing a good job. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to give a special shout out to city staff member Alex Munoz for on Sunday actually immediately responding to remedy and clean up some terribly offensive graffiti that was made on the trail, on the
Yes.
Oldsmar Trail, spray painted. Within an hour, I mean, the magic of social media, it's sometimes evil, but it's sometimes amazing. Within an hour, it was covered up after being reported by a citizen and then later cleaned more thoroughly during the workday of the next day on Monday. So I just want to make sure Alex Munoz was recognized for doing that. Football was on, and you get a call and to show up like that and to take care of it so quickly, it was pretty cool. I wanted to make sure everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, wish everybody happy holidays, fantastic ceremony tonight, and congratulations again to our Citizens of the Year. And I'm looking forward to a very happy new year. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
Very good, very good. I have a few comments, a few items. I would ask the city manager if he could give us a brief update on the BMX track.
Okay, so the BMX track we have an open purchase order that council approved not too long ago to develop a designed criteria package in case we end up needing to pay for the replacement of the track. The issue is currently in litigation, and because of that, we have paused for the progress on the purchase order simply because if the surety or the parties involved in litigation end up paying for it, the repair to the track, then we don't need to continue to pay for something that we're never going to end up using. So we've paused an existing purchase order. Doesn't mean we're not going to eventually finish it. It just means that there's no sense in spending that money if we don't end up having to. So as it stands today, and I would welcome any additional comments from Tom, the issue is in litigation, and that's all I can say about that. There have been some commentary in social media about the issue of the purchase order as if to say, we've stopped fixing the track or planning to, which is absolutely inaccurate. We've committed to fixing it one way or the other. We're just hoping that somebody else pays for it.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Just so that you know, and you probably have seen or already heard that the city's attorney, George Spofford, has issued letters to the individuals that are that are defendants in the case, giving them the opportunity to fix the defective work. There is a time frame set forth in the statute to allow them to do that. We have not heard from them just yet. We're hoping to hear from them. If we don't, well, then we'll move on to the next step. But there is a process that we're working through it, and we obviously want to save as much money as possible. And having the defendants fix the defective aspects of the track would be our best approach. That time frame is fast approaching, that they have to come forward with some type of cure. I frankly don't expect them to, but we had to go through that process to further the litigation. Otherwise, the litigation would be abated during that process. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make a point of people knowing that it's being worked on. Just because one remedy is currently paused, it doesn't mean that it's not being actively worked on. And I will remind everybody something. That, of course, would be, in my opinion anyhow, the best outcome, right? Because this is going to be expensive to fix. And so we don't have the money budgeted for it. And it's, so we're gonna be good stewards here and patient as much as it's killing me and everybody else who's up on this council and in our city. So I wanted to kind of get that on the record. Next item I have, there is the upcoming chamber event with Enterprise Florida that they're doing, the economic development event they're hosting. I forget the name of what it's being called.
Oh, our export seminar?
Yeah. What's the name of it? You don't have to report.
The world is your market.
The World is Your Market. It's coming up on January 15th from 11:30 to 1:30. January 15th, right? Yes. And it's at the State Street Center. Reach out to the chamber. I have been a huge advocate of asking the chamber to put this event on and with the help of the city. And I want to make sure, and I would ask the chamber, the council members to really try to promote it if, any manufacturers in the area. Because Felicia and myself attended their countywide presentation that they did some time back, and the amount of information that would be beneficial to our businesses, such things that, Enterprise Florida, for example, will come in and actually do an audit of their business. The audit is based on them, it's really discovery is probably a better word for it, but discovery of what items they manufacture, and they will then look through their networks that they have internationally and where they have actually paid staff in other parts of the world to see where there's demand for that product and go as far as potential grants, also helping them navigate to distribute to other parts of the world. I mean, it's really, if I was a manufacturer, I'm in technology, and so it's if I was a manufacturer of technology even, right, but I'm software, I would be there, because I will bet you there would be ways to leverage that. It's a taxpayer thing. We pay for that, and so really want to make sure we promote that. I unfortunately, this is killing me, but I'm going to be out of town at a training seminar that I have to be at, or I will not get my license as a new franchisee. So I have to. What's that?
You're not going to go to the lunch?
Lunch and learn.
I've missed this 3 times, and they don't care that I'm mayor. They just like.
They wouldn't change the date for you.
Yeah, they're like, you still have to go. So in any event, I'm not going to be there, but please promote it. Whoever, if you get someone to go, I predict that they will come back to you and thank you later. I think it's that strong.
Got it.
So I think it's $15. If you're a chamber member, it's $10. So it's going to be over here. And there's even a nice little lunch. Tonight's event, that was great. I really think it was great. I have to apologize to Chip because I changed the script today. moved it around, and it's my fault because he had it to me much sooner, and I just didn't have a chance to really go through it all till today, frankly.
Stole my line.
And I stole Sandy's line. But my approach is always going to try to involve everybody on council in our events, right? And I spoke to each of you and said, hey, keep it brief. Don't turn it into a speech on top of a speech, okay? Just keep it, and everyone did a terrific job, and I thought it went smoothly. I look for opportunities like that because I think all of you are accomplished speakers, but I always look at it as an opportunity for you to get more experience in front of our citizens in that kind of venue, and so I appreciate you all not being upset that you got the call today instead of like in advance. But I thought the event was great. I leaned over to Katie at one point, who was sitting next to me, and the kids were singing. There was some other kids in the background. You could hear them laughing, and the parents are out there looking at their kids. And I'm like, God, I love this town. This is it. Yeah. This is awesome. This Friday morning over in Safety Harbor, they're hosting this year, the chamber over there. Mayor Joe and I are hosting a fundraiser to try to raise some money for Maddie Williams over there this year. They're the beneficiaries of it, and I'd ask that you try to come out and support it. Be happy to serve your breakfast. We'll be out there serving breakfast.
Bring your tips.
And bring your tips. We want to beat them this year. So anyhow, I know some of you are going. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to serving you coffee. Hey, I have to comment on this Experience Oldsmar cover. This is like
the coolest.
This is such a great cover. It really is.
Did you look at the back?
The back's even better.
Yeah, all the kids. Who did this? Mark did this? Well, it was terrific. Really, really high quality. So I just had a comment on it. Don't forget, of course, we have the Great Friday event day coming up. We have the breakfast in the morning. We've got our own stuff going on with the mayor's, Pinellas County Mayor's Luncheon. And then, of course, the golf cart parade, going to be a bunch of fun. And then all the good stuff at the Winter Wonderland. And so I have heard that, and I should have announced this earlier, but that we are going to get a visit from someone from the North Pole on Friday. And so,
Request was made.
so all of you council members, especially when we're up here voting on things, should really be good from now on. I could resist it. And the last thing I got is happy holidays to all of you up here, our staff as well who work so hard, and of course to all of our citizens. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second. Motion, second.
We're adjourned. Doesn't require